welcome Dr. Carrie Wiley, our Pre-K-12 Director of Innovation. Believe it or not, she's not the only person in the world with that title, but when somebody want to ask what that is, you're about to find out. I welcome Dr. Wiley as our guest tonight to sort of share some of the things that we're doing, not just necessarily with technology, but when Carrie and I first sat down and talked about where this vision needed to go for the district, it was like, we have a lot of stuff, especially coming out of COVID, but we don't necessarily, not everybody knows what we have and how to use it. So I know some of you went to some digital literacy nights that Dr. Wiley ran, but I'm kind of pushing her off, and so there's no big shoes to fill, Carrie. But we welcome Dr. Wiley. She can take you through a presentation on Apple Classroom and whatever else she's willing to do, because she is one of the smartest people I've ever met. Floor is yours.
Okay, is the mic on? Yes, okay. All right.
Is the red button like?
Yes. Oh, yeah, it is. Okay. Right now it's there. All right. So hi, everybody. Carrie Wiley. I'm very excited to be here tonight to share information about Apple Classroom and its growing use across the district. We do have a video presentation, but before that gets started, I want to give a little bit of context. When considering all the technological tools that we have available and thinking about if there was any one that could be immediately impactful in any of our classrooms or grade levels, PK-12, Apple Classroom was the first that came to mind because of how simple it is to use and all of its capabilities. So with the support of our administrators, our department coordinators, and our ed tech team, I have started going into classrooms, and I personally have worked with a little over 50 educators at this point in their classrooms to get them started. But the best part about being in their classrooms is when they use it for the first time, they get so excited. The first thing they say is, I can't wait to share this with my colleagues. So even though I've worked with them directly, it doesn't necessarily represent the spread, because just between them working with each other and our other department coordinators and everything, it really goes way beyond that. So at this point in time, you're probably wondering, what is Apple Classroom and what does it do and how is it used, right? So here's where the video presentation comes in, and we have some reflections from teachers and students in order to show you all about what it is and how it's used, but also give you a little bit of insight in the immediate impact that it's having in our schools. So I hope you enjoy it, and I'll be here to answer your questions after.
Hi everyone, this is Carrie Wiley, and I'm excited to share today how Apple Classroom is being used as a tool for classroom management and instruction with our EPS iPads. Apple Classroom is an application that allows teachers to be able to view all the screens of the student iPads in the room on their own. Not only can they view the screens, but Apple Classroom also gives them the option to manage the iPads. For instance, they can open up an application on all the student iPads, or they can lock the screens if they choose. Apple Classroom is starting to be used at both the elementary and secondary levels in Enfield Public Schools. But rather than me explain how it's being used, let's hear from teachers themselves. We're going to start with a JFK teacher and hear how she's using it in her classroom in order to transform her instruction.
Hi, my name is Carrie Humber, and I teach 6th grade science at JFK. I love using the Classroom app, and for a couple of reasons, it has become a major part of my management style. First of all, it allows me to circulate throughout the room and monitor students at the same time. This allows me to stop and help an individual or a group with a certain task or concept, but still at a quick glance make sure that all students are where they need to be. Second of all, it allows me to quickly send students to a particular app, and if I would like to, I can lock them into that app, which ensures that students are working where they need to be. Lastly, I like this lock all screen feature, which allows me to lock all the student iPads in the room all at the same time. This allows students just to get a green screen, which brings down the level of distraction, bringing up the level of focus while I'm giving directions and/or demonstrations. I really feel that the Classroom app is a vital tool in this technological age.
Next, you'll hear from 2nd grade teachers and how not only have they found ways to use it as a classroom management tool, they've also quickly found ways to elevate their instruction.
Hi, my name is Sarah Kilty, and I am a 2nd grade teacher at Enfield Street School. And 2 ways that I have really loved to use Apple Classroom so far are during my WIN block. We have skills groups, and it helps me to monitor my students that are not at the table with me. So I'll send kids and they'll be doing centers, and some kids will be doing technology, and I just kind of put the Apple Classroom up so that I can monitor and make sure that they are on iReady and not, playing a math game or instead of reading or doing iReady like they're supposed to.
Hi, my name is Cameron. One thing I really like about Apple Classroom at Reading With, our teacher can see if we're on iReady, and if we're not on iReady, she can tell if we're on iReady or not.
What I like about Apple Classroom is when we do iReady, if we're not doing the actual work, the teacher can remind us to go back onto iReady.
And then another thing is during math time, I used to use whiteboards a lot, and I like that number pieces app. So they would have like those two things kind of simultaneously going, so I could see the work that they were doing. But now I can just use the Apple Classroom. They can do their work right on the number pieces, and it's a really quick way of me identifying who needs help and you know which child I need to go to. So those are two ways that I really enjoy using it.
I'm in 2nd grade and I like Apple Classroom because during math we can share our work and teachers can see.
I like Apple Classroom because I'd like to show my friends and everybody because you can show it on the TV and I can show all my friends and then I can help them by showing them.
One thing I like about Apple Classroom is when someone's having a hard time in math, she can show someone's screen who's doing really good and it can help the other people.
Hi, my name is Amber Benutsos. I am one of the 2nd grade teachers at Hazardville Memorial. One of the ways that I've used Apple Classroom recently with my students is to take problem-solving work that we've done in math that we would have previously done on a whiteboard or a piece of paper and transformed our instruction a little bit to use the iPad and have the students create pictures and representations of how they're problem-solving on each of their individual devices. Apple Classroom allows me to share their individual screens really easily so that they can see each other's work. It has been really naturally engaging for all of the students because they're very excited to see their work show up on the big screen, and it has engaged students in a lot of extra discussion about different problem-solving strategies and things that we have come across.
Next, let's see what this actually looks like in action, thanks to Mrs. Tercasio's 2nd grade class at Enfield Street School. In the next few clips, you'll see how students are applying their knowledge of 3-digit numbers in order to compare them.
67 in pink.
Okay. How is that picture, Harper, going to help you figure out which number is bigger? Which painting had the more votes?
I can look at the hundreds, tens, and ones.
Let's see if I can find another, because I'm looking at Logan's, and Logan's board does not look anything like Harper's. Jackson, he did not draw a picture. What did he do?
Use numbers.
What kinds of numbers? Laura put it down. He used expanded formula.
Great job.
The first arrow was pointing to the 7, and the next arrow was pointing to the 3. And then I realized that 7 is more than 3. So I knew that 467 is more than 463.
I like that I can see everybody's work and see how hard people are really working.
I like how we see my work because it makes me really proud.
When you see it on the screen.
Thanks for the opportunity to share how Apple Classroom is helping us as we make a difference in Enfield, every child, every day.
That's great. So what I didn't want to talk about before is those 2nd grade teachers. Well, one of the things I wanted you guys to see first, I showed them how to use Apple Classroom, but what was really neat is they instantly, in 3 different places, figured out automatically how it could be immediately impactful in mathematics, even without my help. Not saying even though math is my favorite in the world, but that's not to say, but it's not, that's just one example. It really can be impactful in any grade level, in any classroom, and with any subject. So, and it's one of the things that I'm hopeful you enjoyed the video because you really have to be in a classroom to demonstrate it. The teachers' iPads are connected to the students' iPads, and it's really amazing to see. As soon as they say, all right, open up this application, it pops up, whatever it is, on all the screens across the room. So does anybody have any questions?
Ms. Pickett?
This is going to be a hard presentation to top, Dr. Wiley. Really nice job, demonstrating the intentional efforts of infusing technology purposefully to not only increase classroom management support, but instructional engagement. I think that is just such an innovative and need for the times of education that we're shifting in. So thank you for not only the work that you're doing, but your demonstration of that was just like perfect with the video. I think it also is a great way that you've demonstrated student and staff feedback in the process. So thank you for your efforts in that. I might be totally biased because one of those adorable faces were mine. And one of the amazing teachers on there is also my child's. And I know the hard work of the staff and their team efforts. When you mentioned the teachers like banding together and wanting to share with their colleagues, I know that's true. So thank you. A couple of things that I wanted just to touch on was also your demonstration of accessibility in the presentation with your subtitles. So those things matter. So thank you for demonstrating that as well. And I love the idea of how it's simple and easy for teachers to use. So I think some of my concern is that we're adding more things for staff to have to do. But the fact that the staff who demoed, like, oh, I can actually lock screens and it makes it easier for me to give whole class instructions and know that they're not being, or I can send them to the app that they're supposed to be on. So thank you for your intentional efforts and thank you for your demonstration of the great work.
Mr. Hamry?
Yeah, Dr. Wiley, again, I'll echo what Ms. Pickett said. That thank you very much. Very, very good presentation on the technology implemented. So, a couple of questions just for the sake of understanding how it impacts the larger, the entire population. Not all students learn the same. Technology will help, and some are going to be able to learn faster than others, even with technology. Can this be adapted for the student that has more challenges than others?
That's a great question. And really, the teacher's the one that can see all the screens on their iPad. So depending on what the application is or what their students are being asked to do, one way that we can vary our instruction is to give them different options of how they can show their work. But no matter what way they're using their iPad in order to do whatever assignment that they're trying to do, the teacher can see the screens. So the whole idea is that they can be over with a group in one part of the room, but they can still see the screens enough where they can get enough detail where, to be honest with you, you can really see, and if you can tell right away, ooh, I might need to go over and check in with so-and-so because maybe I need to help them out with this or give them a different option in order to show their understanding of something. So it's like another set of eyes in the classroom.
Does it allow the teacher to, I mean, if the teacher's looking at 13, 14 different screens at once and they don't catch something on one of them that is kind of important, can they go back to review what that student was doing at the time?
Great question. It doesn't record their screens, so it's just a live, live what's happening right now in that moment. And it's neat because it really, as soon as the student switches something, it instantly changes on the teachers too. Okay. But it doesn't record anything. What it does do at the end of the session is it shows the teacher which applications that the students used. Any of the applications that were used during that time, and it will show for each student and each application how long the application was being used for. Okay. So it can give an indication of whether or not, as the class is going on, if somebody was off task, they'll be able to know ahead of time, or they'll be able to know to talk to that child later and maybe say, all right, we really need to focus on this. I can see you were doing this instead. So it's definitely a management tool. It's definitely a tool that can help in that aspect, but it doesn't necessarily record the screens. Okay. So I hope I answered your question.
No, it does. Okay. I appreciate that. Thank you. And one last question that I can think of at the moment. Is there anything that you would see as a downside to this? Is there something that would be either current day or down the road, something that we would want to anticipate that might be an issue in terms of, I don't know. It seems like a really good thing, and I'm an Android user myself, so I don't do a whole lot of Apple things. Sorry, Scott. But so I'm wondering if there's if there's a negative to it, because they do a lot of great stuff. I'm not going to lie, they do so much amazing technology and make it very user friendly and intuitive. So I'm just wondering if there might be anything that you could identify as a possible. Nothing. Then that's fine. If the answer is nothing, that's all good.
That's a great question. And I am trying really hard to think of something that could. But I mean, to be honest with you, it is a very simple tool, and it's a tool to be used right in the moment in the classroom. And in the beginning of it, it really is it was meant to help students make sure that they're doing what they should be doing during the time that you have them. So if you want them working in a Word document and writing a paper, that you can see that they're doing that, and you can see how they're doing all at the same time. But once we get beyond that aspect of it, and students know that teachers have those eyes and they can see, then that's where it really goes beyond the management piece and where instruction comes into place. And that's where you could see, like in Mr. Cassio's room, it can get transformed from not just a management tool, but a tool that you can really efficiently and effectively share student work so that they can share their understandings, just like the students were saying in subjects. So I don't think I'm answering the question, what could be negative, but I'm still finding positives.
I'm just looking for the possible issues that may come up. If there's none to be had that you can identify right now, then that's probably a good thing.
As long as our Wi-Fi is working, as long as, those kinds of things, then it's going to be a tool that we can continue to use.
All right, appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Ms. Cushman?
I did take the opportunity before tonight's meeting to look up Apple Classrooms online just to learn a little bit about it, but your presentation and video was much better done, and I appreciated getting to see our students and the staff, sharing about it, because technology is incredibly distracting, and so I can't even imagine what it must have been like for the teachers who had all these children with iPads without having that tool, and what a valuable tool it really seems to be. And I just also wanted to express my appreciation for you doing the digital citizenship with at the different schools, and helping to parents to be, just to understand more about internet safety and best practices and stuff. I appreciate that about you. Thank you for taking the time to do that with our families.
We'll continue to do that. And
please. Yeah.
Mr. Ongeyer?
Just quickly, so how long has it been implemented?
It technically has been available since the beginning of the year, but to be honest, it probably was one of our most underutilized applications. Okay. So it was one that I wanted to get out and everybody using it as fast as possible, because it really is something that is transformative in the classroom.
All right, and so it was a nice video, and I can see the value in it. But since we've had some time now to use it, are there any limitations with it or shortcomings with it that have been identified at all that you're aware of?
Limitations or shortcomings? I mean, other than the students, the students, as soon as the students know that it's available and that it's being used, it's funny to see their reactions sometimes, because they're like, oh, like you can see my iPad, but as soon as they realize that it's only during that class and only during that time, and they realize how important it can be for the teacher to help them, that's something that they easily move past. So, and I think they start to see the benefit of it as well. So, other than the students realizing that, yes, now not only she's my teacher is everywhere, and that's not really a shortcoming, is it? So.
No.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. Dr. Kalnin?
So just to ask the obvious, in the event that the system crashes, internet connection is lost, you have backup. You still have the whiteboards.
Yes, yeah. I mean, sometimes innovation is to actually go backwards. So do we want to be using the iPads for everything every day? No, it's great to get out those iPads. It's still important to get out the pencil and paper. But when teachers are using the iPads, this is a great tool for them to use in order to use it for a management tool. Definitely. Yep. So if we're worried about the technology and all that, I mean, technology can crash at any point in time, and then we'd always have to, go back to that. So that could be a shortcoming for this. But as long as our technology is working, then it's a great tool for us to be able to use. Yep. Mr. Ryder?
So that's actually what I was going to ask about. So you've had one-on-ones with approximately 50 educators so far, but do we, in your opinion, and anybody else's that may know, do we have the bandwidth to support this building-wide, let alone district-wide, per building, if everybody's on it?
You know what? I'm confident, but I will check and I will make sure, because it's something. It's Bluetooth, so it's the proximity of the devices matters, and so I'm very confident that it will, but I will get back to you.
So because it's Bluetooth, you don't have to be on the same internet signal, although you are when you're all in the same classroom, you're all using the same signal. So because it's Bluetooth, it wouldn't work if you were teaching us and Amanda was homesick that day.
Exactly.
You couldn't see her screen.
Exactly. It's only for the.
I'm just saying.
It's only going to work for the students that are in the classroom with that teacher during that moment.
Right.
Yes. Yep.
So because it's Bluetooth, that doesn't.
Right.
The internet's irrelevant as long as everybody has the internet on their
And I know
individual
our
devices.
IT department is hard at work every day making sure that our internet is up to where it needs to be everywhere. So
I know it is in our two newest buildings because the buildings are new and all the infrastructure is new. But I'm concerned about some of the.
To be fair, when we started integrating iPads across the board, part of that investment was also increasing the bandwidth in every building. There is always going to be hiccups.
Yeah.
Is that a polite way of saying it?
Yeah.
But we're aware and constantly, like as Dr. Wiley said, our IT department is consistently putting out fires to make sure that the bandwidth does not get interrupted. But yes.
I'm 99% positive that it's going to work wonderfully, even if we were all using it at the same time. But I would always want to lean on that 1% and ask our ed tech and IT people upstairs.
Okay, I'll finish with some comments. First of all, I like that we've gotten some student-based feedback because I think that's important. But some of the things that I observed is that you'll have an element of student empowerment because if somebody's doing that lesson right, then they can share. And then one of the things that Ms. Kilty said that she can really identify if a student's struggling and she can go to that student, which I think is important because somebody might not want to raise their hand and say, I need help or I can't do this. So it actually could help the kids that aren't as willing to say that they're struggling. I think that it is beneficial all across the board, but I definitely see a benefit to math. Because it's all about strategies and students learning those strategies and learning math facts. And so I definitely see the benefit there. I don't like math either. I know, I'm sorry, Dr. Wiley, but I think that this is definitely a helpful tool for the students. And I wonder if I had anything else to say. I will say this. For the teachers that are using it, I appreciate the fact that they are able to keep an eye on everything that's going on while teaching the students and sitting with the students. Because I imagine that as easy as this task, or they made it seem, it's not easy. And I appreciate their hard work into this. And I'm excited that these teachers have an extra tool to help them. And I'll finish with my kids had Miss Kilty and Mr. Cassio, and they were awesome. So I appreciate your presentation. Yeah.
One quick thought.
Sure, Mr. Ungeier?
Just one quick, and maybe you addressed it, but does security play a role in this? I mean, is there protection against potential people hacking in or anything like that? Are you aware of any computer security that is
we have lots
guarding the classroom?
We have lots of things in place in terms of our internet safety. We have a lot of those things in place. The way that this works, though, the teacher is the only person that can connect to those students in that moment in time in that classroom.
Okay.
And that all works through PowerSchool and Apple School Manager, and there's a bunch of applications that talk to each other. But it ensures that in that classroom during that moment, the only person that can connect to the iPads in the room is the teacher that's there.
Okay. Good. Thank you.
Yep.
Mr. Hamry has one more question.
This is actually the only question I actually wrote down. I forgot to ask. And the question is, so you mentioned this is a rollout of the elementary and JFK levels. Any rollout to the high school, or is that?
Yes.
Okay.
I have been able to work mostly with the math department at the high school, but we also have a technology integration specialist at the high school. Her name's Julie Kunzelman. She does phenomenal work, and she's been working in all departments to spread this at the high school. So between her, the department coordinators, it's definitely something that's growing everywhere.
I had a particular person interested in to know if that was going to be coming to the high school, so I appreciate that. Thank you.
Yep.
Dr. Wiley, I just want to say I wish I had that.
Well, thank you. And just to go back to what you were saying, one of the things I was thinking about is our teachers really are like superheroes. They have all of these skills that they bring. It's like they already do have eyes all over the place. And with this, it's like, I don't know, Batman and all of his toys. It's like they've got a gadget that's making them their superpowers even better. So thank you. Yes.
Thank you.
Right.
Madam Chair, just because I know he said he might be a little bit late, so can one of the 8 of you that are here remind Mr. LeBlanc, he raised an interesting question, I don't remember exactly when because it seems like forever, about, the iPads are great, but with this, I'm concerned about the amount of screen time, like it shouldn't just be a babysitter, and he was 100% right. We knew that, but it was at the point where we can articulate that, where, yes, it's a tool. It's not just we're going to throw a bunch of iPads in a class and tell the kids just, we'll see you in an hour. It's a tool, and it's a way that as Dr. Wiley articulated way better than I could have ever, that it's a way to increase not just engagement by our kids, but instruction. And I think it was important for people to see that at home who just might think, oh, they gave them a device and they're going to be just bumbling around on a game or an app for an hour and a half a day. That's not the case. So I want to thank Dr. Wiley for bringing this all to life. And this is something that's been ongoing and a passion of hers, but we needed to free her up to cut her loose to do this. And the sky's the limit as far as what she's able to lead us, the direction she's able to lead us going forward. So we're extremely lucky to have our own superhero in Dr. Wiley.
Thank you, Dr. Wiley.
Thank you very much. Good to see you all.